Hello, Young and the Restless fans. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we have an emotional story to talk about because one of Genoa City's biggest stars is getting major praise from one of the show's legends. Braeden, who has played Victor Newman for decades, recently opened up about the powerful scenes he shared with Joshua Morrow. The storyline has placed Nick Newman in an extremely difficult position as he struggles with drug addiction. And according to Braeden, Morrow showed viewers a side of his acting that deserves serious attention. So, what made those father and son scenes so emotional, and what could happen next for Nick? Let's get into it. Nick has always been seen as one of the strongest members of the Newman family. He has faced business wars, family problems, heartbreak, and dangerous enemies. But his latest battle is very different. After suffering a serious injury, Nick became dependent on pain medication. What started as treatment for his physical pain slowly became something much more dangerous. The situation became even worse because of the trouble surrounding Matt Clark. Nick and Adam eventually returned home after trying to deal with the threat, but Nick could no longer hide what was happening to him. He had to tell his father the truth, and that confession changed everything. One of the most emotional moments came when Nick admitted to Victor that he was struggling with addiction. Nick was filled with shame and fear. He knew exactly how much his father meant to him, which made the confession even harder. For Victor, hearing that his son was dealing with such a serious problem was heartbreaking. Rather than judging Nick, Victor immediately showed his love as a father. The emotional moment between them reminded viewers that underneath all the Newman business battles, this is still a family that cares deeply about one another. That scene also gave Joshua Morrow the opportunity to explore Nick in a much more vulnerable way. Braeden recently discussed the storyline and explained just how strongly the scenes affected him. He praised Morrow's work and said the actor demonstrated how much he could bring to a difficult scene. That is a huge compliment coming from Braeden. The two actors have shared countless scenes over the years, but this material was different. It required both performers to drop the usual Newman power games and focus on the emotional connection between a father and his son. Braeden also admitted that the scenes affected him personally. The pain of watching your child struggle with addiction is something that can hit extremely close to home. That emotional truth helped make the scenes feel much more powerful. Morrow has previously spoken about how challenging it was to perform those scenes with Braeden. The emotional connection between the actors made the material harder to deliver. After spending so many years working together, Braeden is more than just Morrow's on-screen father. Their relationship outside the fictional world has also helped create a strong bond. That made Nick's confession even more difficult. Imagine having to look at someone you deeply respect and deliver some of the most painful words your character has ever spoken. That is exactly why the scene connected with so many viewers. The biggest question now is what happens next. Nick cannot simply admit that he has a problem and suddenly return to normal life. Addiction can create a long and complicated road, and Y&R has an opportunity to explore the emotional consequences. Will Nick accept the help he needs? Will Victor become overprotective? Could Nikki step in and try to support her son? And what happens if Nick makes another serious mistake? There is also the question of Adam. Nick and Adam have spent years fighting over business, family, and their father's approval. But when Nick is in real trouble, Adam could become one of the people standing beside him. That could give the Newman brothers an unexpected chance to put their differences aside. The confession may also change Victor and Nick's relationship. Victor has always expected strength from his children, but this situation could force him to understand that strength does not always mean hiding your problems. Nick needs support, not another battle. If the writers continue focusing on the father and son relationship, viewers could see some of the most emotional Newman scenes in years. And with Victor now aware of Nick's struggle, There is no way he will simply sit back and watch his son suffer. For longtime Y and R viewers, Joshua Morrow has been playing Nick Newman for decades. That means fans have seen Nick experience almost every kind of storyline imaginable. But this addiction story has given Morrow a chance to show a much more fragile side of the character. Instead of the confident businessman or protective father, viewers are seeing a man who is frightened, embarrassed, and struggling to regain control of his life. Eric Braeden's praise makes the storyline even more interesting because it shows that Morrow's performance is making an impact on his fellow cast members as well. There are plenty of possibilities. Nick could begin a serious recovery journey, but the road may not be easy. He could face setbacks, temptation, or even another crisis that forces his family to intervene. There is also the possibility that his addiction could affect his relationship with Sharon, his children, and the rest of the Newman family. And if Nick continues to struggle, Victor could become increasingly involved. That could create another major family conflict. For now, one thing is clear. Nick's addiction storyline has opened the door to a completely different chapter for the character. Joshua Morrow's performance has clearly made a strong impression, and Eric Braeden's comments show just how meaningful those scenes were behind the scenes. Nick's confession to Victor was not simply another dramatic Y&R moment. It was a powerful father and son story that allowed both actors to show a deeply emotional side of their characters. Now fans will be watching closely to see whether Nick can overcome his addiction or whether another devastating setback is waiting around the corner. What did you think of Nick's emotional confession to Victor? Did Joshua Morrow's performance surprise you? And do you agree with Eric Braeden's praise? Tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Young and the Restless news, spoilers, recaps, and updates.